Hello everyone, welcome you back to the course unit COM 3345 Research Methodology. And my last session, my last video clip indicate you our course introduction. And in that way, I forget to show you your recommended textbooks and what are the available books you can read regarding this subject. So I take the 1-2 minutes to show you the books and the important content of that books for your reference. Now this is the recommended textbook which has been already uploaded into the LMS. Okay, so you can refer that book into the LMS. You can download it and keep it in your laptop or mobile phone. And once the chapters are guided you with my slides, and you can refer those things for a additional to take your additional notes and enhance your understanding about this subject. Because in my lecture series, I'm not giving you any notes or any descriptive details. I guide you briefly what you have to do. Okay, right. Now, in our first session, we let you know what is the meaning of research. Right now, this is a very new things to you because this is not covering any part of your courses you have already completed within your second years or within your 5 semesters, right? And then we come across with the some kind of process of the research. Actually, research is a systematic process. So we learn step by step of that process, right? So those processes are including into a research proposal. That's what we are doing in this research subject, right? Then about the critical literature review and about your theoretical framework development and the research methods. That, as I mentioned you, the data collection method, data analysis method, everything we are going to cover through this course unit within 13 weeks. Okay, so please read this. This is a very simple book, right? No any hard language issues, right? Very simply explain everything using some practical examples also, right? You can read it chapter by chapter. Don't read the book at once, right? And read the examples, read the question it asks, right? And thorough with the subject by yourself. Okay, you are undergraduate, you are not any school level students. It is your responsibility to study well and enhance yourself through these kind of materials. Okay, now this is the first book, and let me share the second one, which I already uploaded into the LMS, and this is the second book. Okay, and this is the Bryan and Bales book. This also good, right? This gives you some detail, right? You can read it as an additional reading material, but the first book I show you is your recommended textbook. Okay, all the lecture materials are developed based on that book, right? But for additional knowledge, actually you need to read, right? Additional knowledge, you can read this book also, right? Every book contains the same, and the way they are explaining the things are different, right? All the things are coming under one aspect, but the way they're expressing are a little bit different. Okay, that's the second book. And I also uploaded the third book, right? This is your third book, right? This is also very good. The research method, the basics. These are the very fundamental explanation regarding research, right? All the books are uploaded into LMS, right? You can read chapter by chapter, download it and keep it in your devices. And once a time comes, you can read. Okay. Now, as I mentioned you earlier, this is the content also. See, everything are coming under the basics, right? What is the research and what is the structuring of the research and ethics, right? And the research method. Okay, very basic things we are covering this thing, but those are very important for your final year research. Actually, I am doing some facilitating to you how to conduct your research. Okay, now these are the things I want to show you regarding your course material, lecture materials, right? Okay, we are coming back to these slides. Now, today we are going to explain you what is research. Now, the subject is research methodology, and today we are going to identify what is actually meaning by research. right? Okay, so for this chapter, for this session, you are required to read the recommended textbook chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay, so it is must, you need to read those 2 chapters, right? So don't rely on this slide set only, because as I mentioned you earlier, I'm not giving you full detail, but you have to read the chapters and make your own notes, right? That's why you need to refer the chapter once you follow in this presentation slide. Okay, moving on. These are the learning outcomes of this session, right? So at the end of this session, you are going to identify what is the role of research. So in here, first of all, you understand about what is research, why research is important to you, right? As a student as well as a future managers. Okay, we will discuss those 2 aspects in the session. And you will be able to differentiate, you will be able to distinguish what is a basic research and applied research. Actually, research, there are 2 types of research, actually, as a foundation. Some part of research are coming under the basic research aspect, and some part of research are coming under the applied research aspect, right? So these are the things. And then we will explain about examine the research process overview. So these are the things we will going to discuss through this session. Right now, then let's move into what is research. Actually, what is research? So this word gives meaning, right? Research. Actually, this is a 2 words coming into one, right? One part is re, another part is search. Search means we are looking, right? We are looking. But what do you mean by re, right? We looking again and again, right? Re means repetitively, right? Repeatedly, we are looking something. And that's the meaning of the simple understanding of research, right? We are repetitively searching something, right? Then what we are search? That's the important part. What we are search? We are search for knowledge. Right? That's what we are doing in the research. What we are doing in research? We research knowledge. Right? We search again and again about the knowledge. What sort of knowledge? It can be either new knowledge, or we try to upgrade the existing knowledge. Right? Either we are going to find out new knowledge, right? New things, innovative things, or else we are trying to enhance the existing things, upgrading existing things. Right? We like to expand the existing knowledge. Right? So for an example, practical example, everyone know how to make a tea. Right? Everyone know how to make a tea. Right? So that is the existing knowledge. Okay? Right? That is the existing knowledge. We can take hot water and we can take tea and put it together and we can make a tea. And that's tea. But the question is whether that tea is drinkable, whether that tea is taste, or whether that tea is good. Right? So then you can search some ways, right? Some methods how to make tea in a tasteable manner. Right? Now, if I ask 3 persons to make tea, that tea getting 3 tastes, not the same taste. Right? Tea getting different taste if it prepared by different people. Right? Now you might be having another way, you might be searching another way how to prepare a tea. Right? Then you try to find out the new methods, new ways to prepare a tea. So that's what we call research. So what you are searching? What you are searching? The way of preparing tea. I believe you understand me, right? You are searching the knowledge. What sort of knowledge? The way of preparing tea in a new way. Right? So you are going to upgrading the existing knowledge. The knowledge with respect to the way of preparing tea. I believe I'm communicating with you. Right? So that is what we simply call research. right? So it is not difficult, right? Most of the students believe that this is a very complex subject, right? No, this is not a very complex subject. This is a very interesting subject. Why? Because there is no hard and fast rule, right? You can search knowledge in a very flexible way. There are some ground rules, right? Every game there are some ground rules. So in this one also game, right? We have to play the game with the ground rules, but you have some flexibility to play the game by your own self. No one is there to say, no, you can't do this. Okay, you can do it in the basic ground rules, right? So our discussion, what is a research? Actually, you are researching the knowledge with respect to the new or upgrading the existing knowledge, right? So remember, that is what we call research, right? So any kind of scientific investigation that is intended to uncover or interesting or new facts, we call research, right? Now look at these bold letters, right? First, we know about what we are searching. We are searching knowledge. So how we are searching knowledge? How we are searching knowledge? Through scientific investigation, right? So we have to follow some scientific investigation. So what do you mean by scientific? I told you in the management science also. What do you mean by scientific? There are specific steps to follow. There are specific steps to follow, right? That's why we call research as a systematic approach to enhance or confirm the knowledge. Am I clear? Right? So then, research, in a very simple way, we are searching knowledge. What sort of knowledge? Existing or new knowledge, right? Either upgrading the existing knowledge or finding the new knowledge, right? How we are going to find new knowledge or upgrade the existing one? Through scientific investigation, right? Why we call it as a scientific investigation? Because we have to follow specific steps, right? So that's why we call research as a systematic approach to obtaining and confirming new and reliable knowledge. That's the definition of research. Okay, so this is a definition of research, right? So research is this, right? So systematic approach to updating or confirming new and reliable knowledge. Why we call it a systematic approach? Because it's coming with the scientific investigation, right? We have to follow step by steps, right? Then our next concern, I told you that in research, we search knowledge, right? We search knowledge. In what sort of knowledge we are searching? In what sort of knowledge we are searching? Why we need to search knowledge? That's the next question, right? So research means search knowledge. Then why we need to search knowledge? Right? Now, I come into that tea example, right? Tea. Now, we need to find out the new ways of preparing tea, right? That is our knowledge, searching knowledge. Now, my question is, why we need to find out the new ways of preparing tea? Right? I believe you are communicate with me, right? So research means searching knowledge. Now, my question is, why we are going to search knowledge? Because we are having some problem to solve. We are having some problem to solve. That's why we search knowledge. So then what we actually do by searching knowledge? We try to solve the existing problem, right? Now, why we need to find out the new ways of preparing tea? Because the existing way of preparing tea is not a tastable, right? It's not going to be applied for a new generation. And now we know that time is changing, right? World is changing, consumer behavior is going to be changed time to time, right? The oldest way of preparing tea is not applicable to today's society, this community. Okay, so therefore we need to find out new ways to prepare a tea. right? So that's our knowledge, and there is a problem we need to solve. So what is the problem? Because the new generation need a new ways to testability. Am I communicate you? I believe so, right? So research, we are searching knowledge. Then why we are searching knowledge? Because we have a problem to solve, right? So how we are going to search knowledge? We need to apply systematic approach. Okay, so then research is a systematic approach to find or confirming new or existing knowledge. Am I clear? Right, good. Okay, now let's move into our next discussion. Right? Now, we are in a management discipline, right? We are in a management discipline. Okay, so then why research is important to the business? Now we know what is a research, right? Now you have come across thoroughly, you understand very well what is research. I strongly believe that you don't have issue with that, right? You are searching new knowledge. Why you search knowledge? Because you have a problem to solve. Now, my second steps, why research is important to the business world, the organizations. It's very simple, right? Because organization every day, every minute, every second, they are facing problems. They're facing problems, right? They have to make decisions. Why they need to make decisions? Because they have to face issues. They have faced some problems in the organization. Might be employees' problem, might be profitable issues, might be market issues, might be production issues, might be demand issues. There are plenty of problems in the organization, right? So then they have to solve them. If they want to solve the problem, they need to search knowledge. How are we going to overcome those problems? So then they have to conduct the research. They have to conduct the research. So take an example. You are in a family, right? You have at least 3-4 members in your family, right? So every family have issues. Every family has issues. Right? So every family has issues, mean they try to solve those problems, maybe financial problem, maybe some kind of social issues, right? Maybe some kind of psychological issues, physical issues. Well, a lot of problems you have, right? But every time, every minute, you try to solve them. But actually, what you are doing by solve this problem, actually you are doing some kind of informal research. You're doing informal research. Why? You try to find out some ways to solve problem, right? If it is a financial issue, you go to the bank and take loan. If you cannot go to the bank and take loan, you try to go with the informal channel, right? Or you take some assist with your friends, your neighbors, or your relatives, right? So that's the way you are trying to solve the problem, right? In research, we let you know how to solve that problem in a systematic approach. Okay, in a systematic approach. So if you're having some financial issue in your house, first we guide you why those financial issues happening to you, right? Why you are facing those financial issues. Might be some kind of sort of income, might be some kind of unnecessary expenses, right? So these kind of things happening, right? Then we guide you, first of all, look at your problem, right? Look at your problem closely. Then come to the solutions, right? No sudden solution, no easy way of solution. We try to give you some systematic background of first identify the problem, then identify the cause for that problem, then try to figure it out and solve your problem. So this is the process we are going to learn in your future sessions regarding research. Actually, every day when you are facing problem, you do research, but not in a scientific way, not in a systematic way. So after you are learning this session, you will be able to solve your problem in a systematic way, right? So that's why this subject is important for your personal perspective, right? Now coming to the business world. Okay, so every business have to make decisions because they are facing issues every minute, every second in their business process or organization process, right? So then they need to know about the foundation of research knowledge to systematically investigate the problem and find out some answers or solution to overcome those issues. Right? So problem can be arise in the different area, as I mentioned you here. It might be accounting issues, it might be marketing related issues, might be finance issues, might be technological issues. We don't know, right? But it's happening. That is sure. That is certain. But here, after learning this subject, you will be able to overcome those issues by using systematic investigation or systematic approach. Right? So this is what we call research. Right? Now you are familiar with what is research and why research is important in business. Okay, good. Right. Now let's move in. Business research. We continue that part. Okay. So why managers should know about the research? Now you are going to be a future managers in next 5-6 years, might be 5 to 10 years, right? Right? Different people have different hobby, different aspect, but different expectation. But majority of you are trying to be a manager. Right? Then as a manager, why you need to have this knowledge of research? Right? As an organization, you are facing problem. So you need to solve them in a systematic way. In order to solve those things in a systematic way, you need to know about this research as a manager. Right? So situation in organization, I have two aspects, right? Two columns. So one column, it gives the situation, that is a present scenario of the organization and how it's going to apply to the research process. I told you research is a process. That's why we call it as a scientific approach, systematic approach, right? So first situation, do we identify where exactly the problem is? Right? If the organization having some profitable issue, that means they experience with dropping the profit of the organization, right? They experience continuously last 3-4 years. Now they are having issue. Their profit is not enough. Their profit going to decline time to time. Then do we know exactly what is the problem? So dropping profit mean either dropping income or increasing cost. Right? Do we know exactly what aspect we are dropping profit? Right? So then the knowledge of research is important for you. You can clearly know where the problem area exists in the organization. Right? It might be either income aspect or it might be either cost aspect. Right? If without knowing those things, we cannot make a solution. Now, if organization believe that our revenue is not good, if they try to increase the price, right, then what happened to the organization? If they are not studying well to the demand of the market, and if they are not knowing about the elasticity of their demand, they don't know anything about their consumer behavior, and they suddenly increase price, then might be organization completely collapse. Right? If they're having some cost issue, right? Production cost increasing, that's why profit is decreasing. So without knowing those things, they try to make another product line. They try to make a different product, new product. Then cost going to be increase more. Okay, so this kind of things we need to identify first. That's why in a research process, first of all, you need to clearly identify where is the problem actually exists. That's why the research knowledge is important to you. Okay, then the situation 2 in the organization. Do we correctly recognize the relevant factors in situation? Right? Now, do we know exactly where the problem is? But do we correctly identify what are the relevant factors? I told you as the profit decline, but we don't know why profit decline. Either maybe the issue of demand, either maybe issue of income, either maybe issue of cost, either maybe issue of marketing channel, right? We don't know. Might be the employee problem. There are so many issues. So we first need to identify those relevant factors. In order to identify relevant factors, so we need to clearly define what is your problem is. So what is your problem is? We need to clearly define those things. Right? So that's why research process is important. Okay, so then do we know what types of information are to be gathered and no, other than how? So if the profitable issue is there, if the income is less, income is low, right? So how we know what sort of information do we need to gather, right? What sort of consumer behavior we need to study, right? What sort of market information we need to get, we need to collect it. Right? So then research knowledge help you whether you are going to gather primary data, whether you're going to gather secondary data to analyze your problem first. Okay, so this is the important things in research. Then the fourth scenario, do we know how to make use of information so collected and draw appropriate conclusion? Now we collect all the consumer behavior detail, we collect all the market channel relevant detail, but now we are having full of details. We are having full set of detail, but we don't know how to analyze this. Right? Having information doesn't mean that you are going to solve the problem, but you need to analyze those collected data in a systematic way, in a scientific way. That's why research knowledge is important. Okay, and finally, even you analyze, right? Now you got the result. Now you identify that this market getting demand drop. This market getting continuously dropping demand, right? And this market getting continuously increasing demand. Likewise, you are having now analysis report. That also not enough, right? If you're having analyzing demand, you need to brain enough how to implement your strategies based on that result, right? So implication part is also important in your research, right? So solve the problem by taking necessary corrective measures coming under the implication part of the research. Okay, now actually research process first starting with identify the problem clearly. Okay, and then we find out what cause to arise in that problem. What are the factors that are going to influence that problem? That is the second part, right? Then third part, we try to gather information, relevant parties we try to gather. And now if it is a demand dropping issue of the organization, we try to find out who are our customers and how they spend and how they behave with regard to different marketing strategies, etc. Right? We gather them, right? Then we analyze them in a systematic way. Right? After analyzing the report, we generate the result. We generate result. Right? Based on that result, we try to make some implications in the research. Okay, so that's what we call research process. Right? So this is what I explained you in here. Okay, this is what I explained you. This is your organization situation, right? And its relevant research process. Okay. That's why we call why research is important to you. Okay, I believe I'm communicate to you in proper way. Right. Let's move into a little bit more. Right. Our next issue. Why manager should be knowledgeable about research. Right. So previous one I explained you how the research is applicable in an organization situation, right? This is what I'm explaining to this one, right? Now I let you know why manager should knowledge about the research because of these benefits, right? These are the advantages. What are the advantages? We can identify and effectively solve problem in the work setting, right? Through this process, right? Through this process, first we identify the problem clearly, then we identify what are the factors causing that problem, then we gather data, then we analyze it, and based on the result, we implement the solution, right? So if you are doing it, then our first benefit of knowing research as a manager is identify and effectively solve problems in the work setting. Okay, and the next one, know how to discriminate good from bad research. Right? You can identify what are the good searching knowledge, what are the bad searching knowledge. Right? And what are the good information you need to collect, what are the bad information you need to collect. Okay, so these are the things. you need to complete. You gather as a benefit of the research. Okay. Then other one is appreciate and be constantly aware of the multiple influences and multiple effective factors impacting on the situation. Now, if you know these are the factors causing to your existing problem, then you are aware with those factors and you can take the precaution action prior to the next issues coming to you. Okay, so that's why you are aware with this situation now, right? Once you solve the problem at the first time, now you are aware with the situation and then you can take the precaution actions. That's the importance of the research again. Okay, then as a researcher, you will be able to calculate the risk in decision making. You calculate the risk, right? Then you know if this is happening, this might be the result, right? You know this is happening, it might be the result. Okay, you calculate risk. If you are taking this kind of production line, this will be happen. This might be happen to our profit line, profit component, right? So this gives you some kind of training to your decision making process. Okay, and let's see the next one. Our fourth one, not fourth one, fifth one, knowing full well the probabilities associated with the different possible outcomes. Right? Now remember, once you are trying to solve the issues, they are not having a single solution. Right? You might having several solutions come across. Through that solution, you find out the optimal solution. You know, in the management science, what is the optimal solution? Right? You implement the optimal solution. But remember, you come across with different possible solutions. Right? So when the next time the issue is coming, you can apply other solutions as a precaution way. Right? This is why research is important to the manager. Right? And finally, the combined experience with scientific knowledge while making decisions. Because research is a scientific approach. So you are using your knowledge in a scientific investigation method to solve your issues. Right? Then ultimately, you combine your working experience with that scientific knowledge when you are making decisions. Okay, so that's the way you are doing it. It's a very simple way. Right? That's why as a manager, as a future managers, you need to learn about research. Right. Moving on, I told you at the beginning, right? I told you at the beginning, research basically coming under two types. Basically, there are different subcategories, but basically coming under two types. One is applied research. Second is basic research, right? So this is the very common category of any research, right? Common category of any research. Under that, there are several subcategories. Don't worry about that. But basically, research having two categories. One is applied research, other one is basic research. Right. Let's see what is applied. So applied mean you try to implement something for an existing situation, right? Existing situation. So it's give meaning as undertaken specifically for the purpose of obtaining information to solve or to resolve a particular problem. Right? Now, in my previous example, if you want to know how to prepare tea in a different way, that is a particular problem. Right? That is applicable to certain group, right? The very limited group of people, very limited group of content. Okay, and our second example, organization, the profit dropping, the declining of the profit. So that is a problem occurring for that particular organization, not the entire industry, right? So then if you are trying to implement some sort of research in that kind of particular problem, right? We call that research as applied research. We call that research as applied research. Now in this example here, right? Now you know that the Coca-Cola is not a popular drink in Arabian countries. It's some kind of common known factor. Right? There are some cartoon also there. Right? First people drink Coca-Cola and then he died. Right? So the way Arabian people read the read the documents are different for Asian countries. Right? So that's why it's happening in Arabian country. Okay. So normally we know that the Coca-Cola is not selling well in the Arabian countries. Then Coca-Cola company want to know that why Coca-Cola is not selling in that particular country. Right? So then it's coming for a sort of particular problem, not a common problem, particular problem for that kind of context. Right? Then Coca-Cola can do applied research. Okay. Okay, then now for an example, now some organizations having labor issues, right? They are they recruit laborers, but their retention is low, right? The turnover rate is high in that organization. Okay, now that organization need to know why employees are employee turnover is high in our company. Then that company can do applied research and find out why employees are resigning continuously. Maybe a salary issue, maybe a promotion issues, maybe a working environment issues, right? Maybe a working condition issues. We don't know. That's why we need to search. But that issue is particularly occurred in that organization, not the entire organizations in the country. Then that organization can do applied research. Normally under the undergraduate research, you are doing this sort of applied research. Actually, you find out some problem, particularly in the industry or sector, then you try to come across with different solutions, different outcomes, right? So you come across with different strategies, so you try to find out why the problem is there, right? And other thing is, research is not always telling you that we try to solve problems, right? That's not always guaranteed. Remember that. But in a research, we can find out what is the problem actually it is, where the problem actually it is. So what caused them to occur in that problem, right? Based on that knowledge, other parties can find out the solution to that. Right? So as a researcher, it is not your complete job to find the solution, but it is your job to find out the problem, find out the cause for the problem, and give some implications. Right? Apply and solve the solution is applicable to the other parties. Okay. So therefore, remember, research is not always try to solve the problem, right? But we enhance the knowledge through the problem, right? But it is not guaranteed that we are going to conduct this research to solve the problem exactly, right? Sometimes what we are finding might not be resolve the problem 100%, right? But it might be give some strategies to enhance the organization in future level in another aspect, right? Then ultimately that problem might be solved. So that is a research. Okay? And remember, research is not always to solve problem, but research is applicable based on some existing problem. And research is generated based on some existing problem. Otherwise, there is no research. Right? If you don't have existing problem, there is no research. There is no meaning to conduct research. But conducting research doesn't mean that you have to present the solution as it is. Remember that, right? So what I'm telling you is in applied research is mostly common for undergraduate research, right? Because you try to figure it out some kind of particular problem. Okay, and the next thing, it is a little bit complex than applied research. That is a basic research. So actually basic means what? That is a foundation, right? That is a fundamental. Okay. So basic research means you normally try to generate new knowledge. Right? Okay. So as an outcome of the basic research, normally we are not trying to solve the problem in a particular context, but for a basic research, we try to develop theories. right? By looking at the demand pattern of the people, where the demand theory exists, where the demand theory generate, right? By looking at how people are using resources and everything, that is where the resource-based theory applied, resource-based theory generated. Right? By looking at the motivation of the people and by looking at the satisfaction level of the people, this is where the motivation theories generate. Right? This is there, that is where the satisfaction theory is generate. Right? Now, basic research mean actually we try to generate new knowledge. That is, we develop theories. So undergraduate level, we are not expecting that context in yours, right? But we mostly expecting applied research types. Okay. Now for basic research, look at this example what I've given you. What are the causes of occurring global warming? Right? Now, is the global warming only applicable to particular organization, a particular sector, particular country? No, it is applicable to global. It is applicable to universe. Right? So if we try to find out what are the factors happening for global warming, that is our problem. That is our problem. So in order to figure it out, that problem, ultimately we are generating theory at the end. Why? It is general. It is applicable to all of the world, all of the universe. Then we generate theory through that problem. Right? For applied research, through the problem, we try to give some solutions. We try to make some implementations. We try to give some strategies. Right? But the basic research, we develop theories. We generate new knowledge. Okay, so the finding of the basic research or outcome of the basic research then might be applicable, then might be useful to apply in business situation. Right? Now, demand theory generated as a basic research, but now it's going to apply by the different organization, different countries, right? So basics going to make applied in applied research. So that's the connection. Okay, so remember this, the applied theory, okay, applied theories are normally using for a particular organization or particular country or particular context problem. But the basic theory is normally happening for a general or globally occurring issues, right? So undergraduate level, we highly expecting you to go with the applied research type, right? When you are going with the higher studies like like PhDs and other sort of things, then you can go with the basic research. Okay. So in your level, we expect only applied research type. Right. So I believe that you are understanding with what are the types of research like basics and applied. Now, if someone asks you, what is the difference between basic and applied? Now you are in a position to answer that question. Right? So applied is going to be solve or try to find out some particular problem occurring in the organization or industry or a country. And the basic research, normally you try to find out the or understanding the phenomena that is happening in a universe, in a global aspect. Right? So these are the things we explain regarding research. Okay. Right. The last thing we are going to discuss about this session, what is the scientific approach? I think you are very familiar with this word because we already completed your management science subject, right? So scientific approach means, so scientific approach is applicable for both applied and basic, right? Even the research are divided as a two-part, applied and basic, the approach are same, right? Only the context is different, right? The approach are same because research is a very particular process, right? So even the research is different in the two ways, the process is same for both. Don't worry about that. The depth of the research is a different based on applied and basic. Other than that, the way of conducting research is same. Okay? The both basic and applied research are carried out in a scientific way. That's why we call scientific approach. What we call scientific approach? Because we have to follow step by step. We have to follow logical steps. We have to follow rigorous method to first identify the problem, identify the causes of that problem, gather data, analyze data, and draw some conclusion from the result. Right? So that's why I told you, research is not always try to find a solution, right? You can come across with some kind of outcomes that can be applied as a solution to solve the problem, right? But research doesn't guarantee that we are going to 100% solve that issue as it is. But we try to make some outcomes. Remember that, right? Therefore, don't say research as a systematic way to completely solve the problem, right? We are not going to completely solve. We try to find out the strategies, so try to find out some steps to overcome those problems, right? And remember, research is more objective than subjective. What do you mean by objective? Last semester also we heard this word. Objective means it doesn't differ from person to person. The process of the research, even it is applied research or basic research, that is same. That's why we call research is objective process. It's an objective process. It's not a subjective. It cannot be changed, right? Now China doing the research in the different way, Sri Lanka doing the research in different way. No, we cannot do that kind of research. Right? Research is objective. It is not the subjective. Right? Now your friends doing the research in one way, you are doing the research in another way. No, that's not happening. But strategically it can be changed, but the steps you need to follow will be different. Right? And the data collection, there are different ways, but you have to follow data collection process. You have to follow data collection steps. Data analysis method might be different, but you have to follow data analysis steps. Right? That's why we call research as an objective process. Right? This is why we call research as a systematic approach. Right? Now, if someone asks you why research identify as a systematic approach, you will be able to answer that question. Okay. So I believe now you are familiarized with, we discuss about what is research, right? And we discuss about why organization need to know about research. Under that, we discuss about why managers need to know about research, why managers need to know knowledge about research. And finally, we discuss basic types of, two types of research, right? Applied and basic. And then we discuss about why research is called as scientific approach. Okay, I believe you are familiarized with now what is research in an appropriate way. Right. So that's the end of this lesson. So next we will discuss about the scientific approach in a little bit more regarding the research.